Welcome to You Son of a Witch H. We got two really wild flash fiction stories this week. Ready to do a wizarding probe.
Absolutely. These are the kind of stories that really get you thinking. We got a Roman gladiator with some crazy visions, and Cleopatra making a deal with a god. Talk about high stakes.
No kidding. All right, let's jump right in. First story. The Gladiator's Gambit. Imagine you're Marcus, a gladiator. You're in ancient Rome, right, but you're not just worried about fighting in the arena. You keep having visions of Rome's destruction.
Oh, yeah. That's heavy. To be burdened with that knowledge, having to live with that. How do you even function day to day?
Exactly. I mean, talk about pressure, and that's what we want to explore in this wizarding probe. How does that unwanted knowledge shape how you live? How do you navigate that treacherous world of emperors, assassins, and knowing your own future?
It's a powerful conflict, right? It makes you think, what does it do to a person? To know the future, a bad future, but not be able to do anything about it, is that a gift or a curse?
That's a good question. And it really highlights that seersucker trope. I mean, Marcus, he didn't ask for these visions. He's not some mystical dude looking for answers. He's just a guy trying to survive. He's a reluctant prophet, a seer who doesn't want to see. What do you make of that? Seeing the future when you don't want to.
Well, think about it. The typical seer, right? They're usually in a position of power. They have some influence because of their knowledge. But Marcus, he's a slave. He's at the bottom of the ladder. And his knowledge doesn't give him power. It just traps him. He can't tell anyone what he sees or he's dead. So how does that isolation shape his actions?
That's a good point. And even with this grim outlook, knowing Rome is doomed, Marcus still fights like hell in the arena. You see that tension there. Knowing the future, but still fighting for today. Why do you think he does that?
Well, even when things seem hopeless, that instinct to survive, that drive to fight, it's strong. Maybe for Marcus, the arena is the only place where he has any control. You know, even if it's just over his own life in that moment. Or maybe it's defiance, refusing to give in to despair, even when he knows what's coming.
Yeah, I can see that. Then, bam, things change. Emperor Caesar Drusus summons Marcus. He doesn't want vague prophecies, though. He wants specifics. Details about threats to his rule. Talk about pressure. A slave, giving advice to the most powerful man in the world.
It's an interesting power dynamic, right? On one hand, you have Drusus, all-powerful, but he's also pragmatic. He sees the potential value in these visions, even if they come from a slave. And for Marcus, it's a tightrope walk. One wrong word, and he's dead. But if he plays his cards right, maybe he can survive.
And then comes that line, the wham line. Drusus asks Marcus, what do you see for yourself? And Marcus, maybe he's tired, maybe he's just fed up. He says, Rome burns, Caesar, and I see you crowned in fire. Whoa, not exactly a happy coronation. How do you think that changes things between them?
It's blunt, it's stark, it's almost like Marcus doesn't care anymore. And that honesty, that lack of sugarcoating, it makes his words hit harder. For Drusus, it's personal now. It's not just about Rome, it's about his own fate. That shared vision, even a horrific one, it creates a bond between them, a weird, twisted bond.
And Drusus's reaction, totally unexpected. He gives Marcus a bag of gold. He doesn't kill him. Instead, he says, your life depends on it. Meaning, you see the disaster, stop it, or you'll be the first to burn. What kind of pressure would that put on Marcus?
Imagine that. You're a slave, and now you're responsible for saving the empire that enslaved you. Talk about a paradox. Suddenly, your survival is tied to the survival of Rome. It makes you wonder, can a shared threat, even one as big as the fall of an empire, make you forget about personal grievances?
It's that internal reformist angle. A slave, now with a reason to keep the system alive. Fascinating. How do you think Marcus's past, his experience as a slave, would influence how he tackles this impossible task?
Well, he's seen the cracks in the system. He's experienced the brutality firsthand. Maybe he sees solutions that those in power are blind to. Maybe his motivation shifts from just surviving to actually trying to fix the problems that are leading to Rome's downfall.
Yeah. It's like he's got this unique perspective now.
Yeah.
And the story keeps throwing us back and forth between the arena, brutal and immediate, and the palace, full of shadows and whispers. How would Marcus handle those two worlds?
It'd be tough. In the arena, it's all about instinct, strength. In the palace, it's all about wits and strategy. I bet his visions help him in both, you know, anticipating threats in the arena and political moves in the palace. It shows how adaptable he is, how cunning.
And then just as we're getting into the palace intrigue, bam, back to the arena. A huge goal.
Yeah.
Marcus's next opponent. It's a great reminder that even with the emperor's favor, he's still a gladiator.
Yeah.
Still one bad fight away from death.
It's a reminder of how precarious his situation is. And then he has this vision. He sees that his fate hinges on a dropped coin. So he takes the gold Drusus gave him and uses it to gamble against the Gaul. He drops it. And the story ends right there with that coin falling. What would you be thinking in that moment? Is it fate? Or can you actually change your destiny?
What a cliffhanger. It makes you think, right? And I love how Marcus uses his vision. He tries to manipulate the situation, even in a small way. He's not just letting fate happen. He's trying to grab hold of it.
Right. It's like he's not just a receiver of knowledge anymore. He's trying to be an actor, to use his knowledge to shape the present. And that unresolved ending, it really makes you think about fate and free will.
Okay, so we've wrestled with fate in Rome. Now let's travel to Egypt. Cleopatra. Cleopatra's covenant. This isn't just history, though. We've got a supernatural twist. Egypt is falling apart. Roman pressure, internal struggles. What kind of desperation would make a queen consider a pact with Anubis, the god of the dead?
Imagine the weight on her shoulders. Her kingdom, her people facing destruction. She's probably willing to try anything. When all else fails, that forbidden power, it's gotta be tempting.
The story emphasizes her skepticism, too, which makes her decision even more powerful. She's not some superstitious ruler. But in the end, standing in a moonlit temple, she makes a vow. Egypt will not be Rome's tomb. What does that tell you about her?
It's defiance, it's determination. It's her saying, I will protect my people no matter what. And that setting, the moonlit temple, it gives the vow this weight, this sense of something bigger at play. She's not just making a political move. It's a spiritual commitment, and maybe a dangerous one.
Classic deal with the devil trope. This pact with Anubis doesn't come free. Darkness answers her call. There's the sound of bones rattling. Spooky stuff. What do you think that power will cost her?
Power like that, it always comes with a price. Maybe a personal sacrifice, a moral compromise. Maybe she loses a bit of her humanity. The rattling bones, that's a reminder she's dealing with the power of death. And that's going to disrupt the natural order of things.
We see the immediate impact. Caesar's assassins are killed by their own reanimated guards. Cleopatra laughs, and it's described as harsh, triumphant. Talk about a power move. What would an army of the dead do to the balance of power in the region?
Chaos, fear, the undead. No one wants to fight that. She's got a military advantage, sure, but it also isolates her. Other nations are going to see her as dangerous, someone who's messed with the natural order. They might be even more determined to take her down.
And she pays a price at home, too. Her army is full of these creepy corpses. People are terrified. Her advisors abandon her. Even her own brother can't comfort her. Is saving Egypt worth all that? That horror and isolation?
It's that age-old question. When is it okay to do something bad to prevent something worse? Where's the line? Is she protecting her people? Or unleashing something even worse? The fact that everyone's leaving her suggests they think she's crossed that line.
Then she has this nightmare. She hears Caesar's dead voice, but it's her own voice speaking. It's a powerful image. It's like she's becoming the very thing she's fighting. How do you think this power is changing her?
It's that becoming the mask trope. She's using the power of death, and it's starting to change her, blurring the lines between protector and destroyer, and the fear around her. It probably feeds that transformation, pushing her further away from humanity and closer to the darkness she's wielding.
But then, just when it seems like she's got the upper hand militarily, a Roman envoy shows up.
Yeah.
With a peace treaty, and it's surprisingly good for Egypt. Too good. Why would Rome do that? Especially after facing an army of the undead.
They're changing tactics. Maybe they realize fighting the undead head-on is a bad idea. Maybe this treaty is a trick to buy them time, to cause trouble within Cleopatra's ranks, or to find a sneakier way to take her down. It's all about strategy, diplomacy as a weapon.
And then bam, big twist, wham episode, the priest of Anubis. They're gaining power too. And then the Romans betray Cleopatra. They use the fear of her undead army against her. She's got enemies everywhere now. What can she do?
She's trapped, betrayed on all sides, and it's her own fault. She relied on this dark power, and it backfired. Her options are limited. She has to do something drastic, risky.
And that's where the story leaves us. Cleopatra, betrayed, decides on a gamble so wild it made her pulse quicken. She turns towards the Roman envoy. He's terrified. What do you think she's planning?
It's got to be something big, unexpected. Maybe she takes him hostage. Maybe she unleashes the full force of her power, tries to scare both the Romans and the priests into submission. She's unpredictable and dangerous.
So there you have it. Two wild flash fiction stories. The Gladiator's Gambit and Cleopatra's Covenant. We saw a gladiator battling fate, trying to survive against impossible odds, and a queen who made a deal with dark forces with some terrifying consequences.
What stood out to you? Marcus's story with that reluctant prophet vibe, or Cleopatra descending into this dark power, maybe it's the common thread, individuals against impossible odds. What did you think?
For me, it's about power. Who has it? What they do with it, the price they pay. Marcus gets power, but it's a burden. Cleopatra seeks power, but it might destroy her. It makes you think about the different phases of power.
It makes you think about your own life, too.
Right.
You're bombarded with information, predictions. How do you decide what matters? How do you navigate your own future? And are you prepared to pay the price for the choices you make?
That's a great point. Lots to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this wizarding probe into You, Son of a Witch Age. We hope you enjoyed these flash fiction stories. They definitely got us thinking. And for more adventures in the fantastical, be sure to rate and follow You, Son of a Witchy Age.